Yeah, hi all. Like first 5 minutes, right? We will recap like what we have done yesterday and day before yesterday. Okay, as Nirmal is new, right? We will just give him an overview of what is region, what is availability zone. Later, we will move with the VM. Okay. Uh, yeah. So in any cloud, right? Basically, cloud is something like we will be creating the infrastructure, whatever we have today on premises in your office, that we are moving to the cloud. So if the project is moving to cloud, right, then previously you used to manage your network, you used to manage your storage, you used to manage your team used to manage your infrastructure like OS, patches, backups, and all those. So these will be shifted to cloud. Means now what will happen, right? The cloud provider will take care of those routine activities. Either it can be like installation, patching, backups. Okay, so our development team will, or like ops team, or like administrative team, right, along with, they will be involved in the VM creation and network creation and all those activities. Okay, basically these routine tasks will be managed by the cloud provider. In our case, no, the cloud provider is someone who will provide that cloud infrastructure. For for us, it is Azure. Okay, we have other cloud providers like Amazon, we have GCP, we have like Google Cloud Platform, we have Oracle. Okay, now every in any cloud, right, you will be having something like region. Okay, a region is something like a geographical area. If you consider this, no, whatever you are seeing blue, those are all the regions. Okay, if I'm installing my application, if I'm installing my e-commerce website in US, means I can host it in any of the region. Okay, here if I put, no, here we are having something like Brazil South. For this complete thing, no, this is only the nearest. Okay, I will be hosting in the nearest site. Okay, if you take this Africa, there are like two regions that are present for this complete geographical area. Okay, these people can host in their country, and there will be some laws also, right? Whenever you, let us assume you are hosting some like e-commerce website, or you are hosting some like gaming website. Okay, now there are some rules like the data which is pertaining to some country should be hosted in the same country. It should not be present outside. So due to that reason, these cloud providers are coming up with multiple regions, so that they can accommodate like most of the customer in their countries. Basically, region is a geographical area on the planet. Okay, now if you take one region, what will, if we narrow down a bit, okay, one region will have basically like one or more data centers. If I consider this Brazil South, in this region you will be having multiple data centers. Okay, minimum of one and maximum of three. Okay, why we will be having multiple data centers? That is the first question. Why? Because if one data center goes down, this country will be completely affected. In India, we have West India, Central India, and South India. At least we are having some three data centers in India. But if you consider this situation where it has only like one region, and if there is only one data center for this, right, if this data center goes down due to some earthquake or any other reason, power failure or something, all the applications hosted in this data center will be inoperative, right? That's why what they have come up, right, Amazon, sorry, Azure has come up with is they will be having one region will have multiple data centers. Okay, so normally you will be hosting your applications in your on premises. Okay, currently, right, whenever you create a VM, user creates a VM, the VM will be created in this availability zone. In particular region, you will be having one availability zone. Availability zone is nothing but a data center. Okay, this is the naming convention they have given for the data center. So we will be having three data centers. Okay, if you deploy your application in three availability zones, if this zone goes down, if this data center goes down, you will be having like two zones availability zones, okay, if this goes down, you will be having other two availability zones, means two data centers to support your application, to support the traffic or to serve the traffic. If you have two applications running, okay, if you have that like what is it, two data centers went down, okay, then you will be having one data center which will be serving the load. And these data centers, no, these are what will happen, right? These two data centers or these three data centers will be connected via dedicated lines of Azure. So the Azure will lay its own like fiber optical cable lines or whatever you will have. So they will put their own network, and the traffic between this data center and this data center won't go via internet. Okay, it will be like it will be connected via like Azure's or Microsoft's Azure's dedicated lines, such that they will be having in like a high bandwidth and low latency. Okay, now there is one question. Now what happened is this also went down. Okay, then in my region, if even if I deploy my application in the three availability zones, due to some unfortunate scenario or whatever, what happened is all the availability zones went down. Then what happens to my application? What is the solution? Then you will be having something like regional pairs. Okay, regional pairs came into picture when like if you have some downtime, if you have one region inoperative due to even for 1 minute or 30 seconds or 40 seconds, what happens, right? The traffic will be served by the other region, the instances that are present in the other region. Why we need, if you take MasterCard, Visa and all those, okay, so if you protect your what to say, if you deploy your applications in single region, no, if this region goes down, then the transactions won't succeed. Okay, so what they will do, right, they will put it in the two regions. This is called as a regional pairs. Only requirement is they should be separated by at least 300 miles away. Okay, if they are above like a 300 miles away, right, then you can go for this regional pairs. The use is like even for like at any point of time. Okay, MasterCard, Visa or like this time PayPal, okay, this should not fail at any point of time. They should work 24/7. There won't be any like downtime for that, right? So those kind of applications, if you are deploying, they will, even Amazon.com, okay, they will deploy their application in these regional pairs. Okay, now you know what is region. Okay, just a second. So we'll go with this one. Yeah, this, there are three concepts. Whenever you are creating any resource, means if you are creating one like a VM, or if you are creating one database, what will happen? It should be like created in cloud. The same thing when you are creating in on premises. On premises means in your infrastructure. So a new server came, okay, or some 10 some servers came, like Oracle racks or some Dell CPU or something came. Okay, then what they will do, they will move to the labs. Okay, that labs are specific to particular projects. If it is for finance project, then they will move that infrastructure or the servers to that finance lab. Okay, if like some ODC, okay, in that they will be hosting. Okay, whenever you, but you can tag it out, no, you can tag it like whatever. If I'm getting some 10 servers, then I can tag to each project or some each lab, and each lab will have some owner. Okay, and that owner or will be responsible for maintaining and maintaining that server. Okay, it will be tagged under his name. In the same way, in Azure also, what happens, right? Whatever the resource you create, either it can be a virtual machine or it can be a like database or it can be a storage, anything. Okay, those things should be tagged in some hierarchy. Okay, resources will come from like bottom to top. Resources is something like whatever you create, like virtual machine, storage, or anything. Okay, you create in Azure portal or CLI or from SDK, and there is something called as resource group. Resource group means grouping of resources. Simple. Now I am having 3 projects. Okay, I will put something like this. Okay, I'm having some 2 projects. Let us assume. Okay, I'm having some 100 VMs or 100 desktops. Okay, this is some ODC one. Okay, it is having some 100 desktops. Okay, and some 50 servers or application servers and some 8 DB servers. Okay, you are having the same infrastructure here also. So for this you will have billing, for this one you will be having billing. Okay, what they will do, right? In this ODC, whatever you are having, no, like you are having some infrastructure, no, that one they will group together and call it as a resource group. Okay, and this is some resource group. So this resource group will contain some infrastructure, either it can be VMs or desktops. Like now we are working from home, so you will be having some virtual instances created in cloud. So like that you will be having some infrastructure. Even though if my client is ICICI, okay, there are 2 ODCs. One is for some insurance and this is for something like banking. Okay, so even though it is for insurance and this is banking, no, so this insurance infrastructure will have separate billing, and this banking will have some separate billing, because there will be varying, like there will be variation in the number of servers and the number of the teams. Because insurance, right, you will be having minimum servers. If you go to banking, like you will be having some more infrastructure than this one. So this one will have some separate billing and this one will have some separate billing. This is called as like group. Okay, resource group. Or hmm, so in this management group, no, here we will be having something like management group. In this management group, you will be having 2 subscriptions. One is for insurance subscription and one is for banking subscription. And in this subscription, I will be having multiple resource groups. Okay, one resource group. Okay, in this ODC one, this one resource group is for some dev environment or dev test. Okay, I will be having similar kind of resource group for prod environment, and this will be billed under my subscription, insurance subscription. Like that, I will be having like one more resource group. Okay, this is for prod. Okay, this is not a test, this is prod. Okay, so this is the hierarchy. So the same thing whenever you are creating a VM, right? This is applicable. So we have to select your subscription, you have to select your resource group, because this is a organized way of linking your resources. If you want to delete all the servers, if you want to destroy the environment, you don't need to delete everything individually. You just delete this resource group, then all the infrastructure underlined in this will be deleted in one shot. Okay, so portal.azure.com. If you log into this site, right, I will tell, like in our regular classes, I will tell like how to create an account. For now, what I will do now, I will just show like this is how you will be logging into the website. Whenever we go to this left, and if you click on all services, no, then it will show the capability what this Azure cloud is capable of. In the left side, like you will be having like multiple services. Okay, if you have compute, right, compute is for obtaining some like processing power. Like if you want to deploy one application, you need VM or Kubernetes, something like that, right? So this compute will be used for this purpose. If you go to databases, right, you will be having different types of databases which you can use. You will be having like Azure SQL, you will be having MySQL servers, okay, and SQL managed instances. So like that you will be, and SQL virtual machines and data factories. So you will be having like multiple capabilities, like it supports multiple capabilities. You have to use whatever is required, because as this is a product, you know, as this is a product, they will be integrating with multiple like multiple what to say, like MongoDB or like MySQL or something like that. Okay, when you go to analytics, right, Azure supports these services. If you are taking one project to cloud, what will happen, right? If you are taking something like this database project, okay, if you are taking this database project to cloud, what will happen, right? Previously they may be using on premises MySQL DB. Going forward, they will be using this MySQL server. Okay, now if you check on all services, you will be having something like this. You will be able to see like you will be having these many servers. Okay, you will be having these many servers, sorry, services. Okay, it is not necessary like you have to learn everything. Like there will be some core services which everyone should know, but based on their specialization they have to learn. Like if you are working on containers, you should know this, and if you are working on databases, you should know some of these. Okay, if you are on analytics, right, you should know whatever you are working. Like you may be working on Power BI or data lake, something like that. Okay, for now, right, what we will do, our goal is like we will create a VM, Linux VM. Okay, I can select the service. Okay, I can click on all services, I can go to compute, and I can click on virtual machines. This is one way, or I can search directly here, virtual machines. Okay, now I have created one virtual machine. If I want to create one virtual machine, now I have to click on create virtual machine. Okay, now it will be, I will be asked, like just now I have explained something like subscription and resource group, no, the same thing. Now if I'm creating one VM here, no, what is the hierarchy? This VM is one resource, this it is tagged to some resource group, and that is aligned to some subscription. In the same way, Here there is something like subscription over here. Okay, when you create a new account, right, you will be having some trial subscription. Okay, now I have clicked on this Azure subscription. I have to select the subscription, and here I will be creating one resource group. Okay, I'm creating a resource group here. Demo means if you are creating one dev environment, no, if you are creating a server in the dev environment, you can create a resource group with the name dev. So all the infrastructure whatever you are creating, no, either DB or multiple instances which are pertaining to this particular dev environment, you can put it in the under this resource tag, this resource group. Now I am providing the VM name. So you just tell me if I want to create a VM or if I want to create a server, what I should have. You just put it in your chart window, or yeah, you can put it in your chart window, or you can unmute and tell what you need. One is hardware. Next, hardware in the sense like network or disk. I'll call it as disk, and CPU, RAM. What else you need? Unmute yourself and tell. No, it will be easy for you whenever now you're creating, or you can type in the chat window. Okay, you need OS, and you need something like authentic of logging in authentication, username and password you need. Username, password you need. And what else you need? Or like ports. Okay, these are the minimum required stuff. Now if I'm creating a VM in cloud also, same thing. Okay, now I'm creating a VM in which region I should host. Okay, I will be selecting the US East here. Okay, so likewise I told you, here if I'm creating one VM in some region, no, I have to select what is that region and what is the data center. Okay, now I am selected the region. Here there is something like availability options. If I select like no redundancy required means, then I can opt. As I mentioned previously, region will have multiple availability zones. I have to click the availability zone. In that I told like you will be having like minimum of one and like one or more. Here in this you are having something like 3 data centers. So I can create my VM. If I put select one, now it will be created in the data center 1. If I select 2, it will be created in the data center 2 or 3. Now I have selected the data center 1. Now I have to select the OS. Okay, I have to select the OS. There will be like multiple operating systems that are being supported. If you see all the images, no, if you click on all images, you will be having a complete list. Okay, if you take, you can type your like Windows 10 if I want to know, then I can use this Windows 10. Okay, if I want, I'm not sure. Yeah, here's we have CentOS. Okay, like that you can search any like We are having already having Linux, Red Hat Linux. And what else operating system you have? We are having SUSE Linux. Like that, I I don't think we'll have Mac. Yeah, you don't have Mac. Okay. So here you can select your image, which operating system. So here you are having some different categories also. Each category may support some particular image. So for now, what I will be doing now, I will be selecting some this Ubuntu Linux. Now this is the hardware configuration. Okay, if you see, right, you are having some like 2 vCPU 8 GB memory and 2 vCPU 4 vCPU 16 GB memory. If I click on all sizes, right, basically you will get a big list. Likewise you got it for images, you will be getting a big list. So there will be, like, if I scroll right, you will be having some different sets. How these are categorized, I will come at the last. Okay, I'm selecting this one. For this I will be charged some 5,000 per month. Okay, there will be some two types of authentications. For a Linux machine, I can have a SSH public key and I can use my password also. So what I will do, right, I will create the username and password. Okay, I have created the password, username and password. Just now I told, no, you will be having some ports enabled. Why we need to enable the ports? No, when you are putting your machine in the cloud, and it is like, it can be like attack, like what to say, it is more vulnerable. Okay, if you are putting one machine in cloud, then it is more vulnerable, right? People may try to attack it, okay, and steal the information. Basically the cloud provider, what they have come up with, right, they have come up with some solution. They will block, it is something like a zero trust network. You know, did you heard the term like zero trust network? Zero trust network, have you heard that name?
No.
Zero trust network means, if by default everything will be disabled. Okay, whatever you want you have to enable. Is a that is called, sometimes in on-premises, right, as it is your own network, right, you will be having some feasibility. It is not a zero trust network basically. So it will be have some firewalls opening, it will be have some network ports opened, because that is your own data center, right? And you will be hosting your own infrastructure in it, your own applications. But when you're hosting in cloud, no, basically it is a zero trust network, means everything will be blocked by default. For this particular VM, okay, now based on my instance, if I'm installing some MySQL, then I have to open 3306. That is the port. If I'm installing some AD, then I have to open that AD port. Okay. If I'm installing some Windows machine, for connecting to it, right, I have to open the RDP. RDP runs on 3389 or whatever. Okay. And if I'm hosting some website, if it is a HTTP, okay, we'll open 80. If it is something like HTTPS, then you will open 443 and you want to open 80. So whatever is required only you will open the ports, because all the incoming traffic from the user will be blocked. This is called as inbound traffic. And if the request, let us assume like I'm sending one HTTP request, some post method or get method I'm doing. Okay, and the request has reached the server. By default, server will respond. There is no need of explicitly opening any port for outbound rules. Inbound rule is something like inbound traffic, or inbound rule is something like is done for allowing the incoming traffic. There is something like outbound. Okay, this is at VM level. There you in cloud you will be having subnet level also, that we'll discuss in future classes. Yes, please.
Can you please repeat this concept, inbound traffic and outbound traffic, once again, please?
So now you are hosting your application here. Okay, so there will be two types of traffic, right? In the sense, here there is a sender, here it is a receiver. How the communication will happen? He is the sender. Okay, user is the sender and target is server. Okay, the traffic whatever it is reaching from user, whenever you normally you will give some IP address, or you will give some URL, bro. If I give some google.com, what will happen? It will reach the server, right? It will take the path of internet and it will finally reach the server. Okay, whatever the traffic that is sent by user to the server or incoming traffic is called as, whatever the traffic that is incoming, right, that is called as like inbound traffic. Okay, once the request has reached the server, now what will happen, right? Now the request get processed and the response will be sent to the user. Okay, this is inbound traffic. Okay, inbound. This is outbound.
Okay, got it.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
okay, by default allow everything, block everything. Okay, this would be the behavior. It is not pertaining to only Azure, it will be like same for AWS and other cloud providers also. Same concept, they will block everything. So here, no, what traffic? Now I am hosting a Linux machine. Okay, now I have to do SSH. Okay, there won't be any RDP. And if I'm hosting a web server, okay, then I have to enable this HTTP. If I'm hosting a HTTPS website, then you can check this one. For now I am just checking this one. You may get some question like, if I install MySQL or Active Directory or directory server, okay, or some other thing, then how to do it, I will come to that later. Okay, for now, right, this is for logging in. Okay, how to select this? I haven't selected. Yeah, okay, here I will choose my disks. Okay, I will take a separate class on this, how to like add a disk and all those. For now, right, here, right, you will be having some disks. There will be different types of disks. We will have a detailed session in VMs. Okay, for now I will be selecting the disk, and here I want public IP. As the machine is present in cloud, I need a public IP. There will be like two types of IPs. One is public IP and one is private IP. Likewise, you will have what to say, in hospitals or in offices, right? Normally you will be having two IPs sorry, two numbers for, right? One will be like external number, and one will be the internal number. So internal number will be like 4 digits or 6 digits. So whenever you dial via internal number, it won't go via the tower and all those, right? It won't take the long path. It will the traffic will be routed within that building or within that network. Okay, it won't go outside. And if you call with your original landline number, which is some 10 digits, right, then this has to take a long path. In the same way, what will happen, right? If you in your network also, if all the machines are within the subnet, right, you can give the private IP. All the communication will have within the private IP. Okay, only for customer endpoints. Like if you are deploying your application server here, okay, then you can put a public IP. Okay, else you no need a public IP. Means here you are having some DB server. This is your application server. Okay, so DB server you won't expose. For this you can put private IP, and for every instance will have by default a private IP. Okay, by every instance in Azure will have a private IP. If you want to attach a public IP, you can attach. Okay, this is app server. Now what will happen if I configure public IP? If I send any request now, I will give this URL or this IP address, and this one will talk via private IP. That is one solution. Okay,
Difference between private IP and public IP.
so private IP, there will be two types of IPs. Private IP is which will be accessible within that network. Public IP will be accessible from anywhere in the world. So you will be having some, normally you will have that IP address range, you know, like you will be having 1 series to around like 255 series, right? In that you will be having something like class A, class B, class C. Okay, 10 series is private, 192 series is private, and 172 series private. So while defining IPs, right, these series are private IPs. 192. Okay, if anything is starting with 10 series, 192 and 172, right, these are all private IPs. Whatever you are having with 11, like 255 or 1 or 3 series now, those are all the public IPs. Okay, these are not accessible from these will be accessible within the network. These are not exposed to the internet. Okay, in simple means public IP address can be accessible from anywhere in the world, whereas private IP is accessible only within the network. It is not accessible via internet. Okay, so here we are having
Okay, sir.
some.
Thank you.
Okay, by default you will be getting private IP address for all the instances. Now if I want to send a request, no, I should have a public IP. Then what I can do, right, I can assign a public IP. Then whenever a user sends a request, no, it will go to the public IP, like web server, and this application server or web server, right, it will send the request to the, here it will have private IP, using that connection strings or whatever, JDBC connections. The request will be served, and this application server will get the response, and it will be sent to the user. DB server, no, it will have all the customer details and all the details, so they won't put it in the public IP. If you put that in public IP, it is reachable by, can be accessible by everyone. Okay, you will only expose the application IP address, whereas you will hide this public IP address of the DB. Like that they will design. Okay, now here, no, it will create some separate network. Okay, it will create a new network for you. This is a private network 10 series, no, here it is creating one new network. Okay, and this is a subnet. We will discuss about this subnet and all those. Okay, now I will click on next. This is management. Now what happens, right, I have provided some configuration, no, now but Azure will validate whether I have provided all the configurations or not properly, else it will like throw a error message with some red line, a red dot. Here you will have some red dot if you miss any configuration. Now the validation is passed. Okay, now if I click on create, no, Azure Resource Manager will be there. Okay, it will take some couple of minutes. So there will be one component called as Azure Resource Manager. This is responsible for creating your infrastructure. Either it can be virtual machine or DB server or app server, anything, right? This service will take care. So from portal, I have triggered the request to the Azure Resource Manager. Now this Azure Resource Manager will create the infrastructure. There are other ways of creating the infrastructure using like PowerShell as well as the CLI and the REST clients. So you are having something like PowerShell, right? Here, if you see, Cloud Shell you are having, no? If I click on this, right, it will open the Cloud Shell. This is the PowerShell and this is the Bash. Okay, you can execute your commands over here also. For creating one virtual machine, right, it is creating these many resources. It is what it is creating. It is creating one virtual machine. It is creating one network. Okay, it is creating one network. Here it is creating some network security group. Okay, something like that. It is creating like multiple. Now I'm clicking on go to resources. Now you will see here, if you go to networking component, you will see something like this is the public IP, which won't start with 10 series or 192 or 172, and this is accessible from everywhere. This is the private address, which is of 10 series. This can't be accessed from outside world. Okay, this will be accessible only within that network. Now what I will do now, I will copy this one. Okay, and now I go to the putty. I'll copy this IP address and I will click on OK. Now I have given some username and password, right? I'm providing my username. Okay, now I have logged into this Linux machine. Okay, now if I want to access internet, now I am with a normal user. Now I want to gain some root user. Sudo -give -i. If I give, I will be getting this hash prompt. I am now the admin. And one more thing, this is my public IP, right? Now I have logged into this machine from my putty, but if I do a ping, I'm not getting. Why? Because I have applied some rule, inbound rule I haven't set up. I have set for only what, 22 port. That is my SSH. Okay. Now if I go to the VM, if I go to networking, here you are seeing, right, inbound port rules and outbound port rules. Okay. Now here I can modify. If I am running one, I told, if I'm running one application like MySQL, okay, or Active Directory or some other thing, what I can do, right, I can add my rules over here. Okay, you will be having some source and destination. The source can be anything, or your IP address, or you can put your range. Okay, so here you will be having like multiple options, like you can put your IP address or subnets. Okay, so I'm for now I'm giving okay, 1 second, I will do you know this port number 7? So if I want to make the ping to work, what I have to do, right, I have to enable the port number 7, which is not there while creating my while creating the VM. Okay, I'm selecting any source from any port. The destination is like any service is here. You are seeing, you are seeing the services, here you can select like this. If you are selecting something like what to say, LDAP,
you can install Active Directory. Okay, if you are installing FTP server, you can go with it. Okay, like that you will be having like multiple ports. If I select some, do you have anything which everyone knows? LDAP, what port it has selected? Okay, so what I will do, right, for now, for my need, I will select something like, so MySQL, you have custom port I will be selecting. Okay, I can give something like 7. Okay, I'm giving TCP or like protocol, anything I can kill put, and there will be like action like allow and deny, whether I want to allow or deny that ping. If I click on add, once this resource gets created, then if I do a ping, it should work. This rule is added, it should work. It will work for, wait. One second. Where is that ping? What is the rule? I should put this one. Basically, it is a TCP port. I should not get time out. I'll take one more. Like that, you will open. Okay. Why you are getting still? This is the priority will set, like whatever is the least, that will be the first one, that will execute first. Okay, source is any. Okay, do we have any ICMP here? IMAP. Okay, custom port 7 is the ICMP port. Protocol is TCP only or UDP. This is correct only. Basically, this is how you will give. Okay. This is the correct port for ICMP. It is 7 only. TCP or UDP port. Okay. It may be due to the firewalls. Okay, it is fine only. Okay, it is from any source is any ranges. Destination is for this one. I have to select, I believe. or I will do one thing. Okay, now what I will do, right, I will install one server. How can I test now? I'm doing some update. I'm installing the JDK here. Okay, it is asking me to create one user. One second, what I'm thinking now. Okay, there is one more thing here. Okay, I'll go to this. This is subnet level. Okay, this is security group, fine only. Okay, resource group, fine. Yeah, it's still installing now. Meanwhile, let me. $23. Basically, right, you will edit, like there will be like subnet level as well as the VM level. You have to change your configurations if you add anything new. Here we are having no. Now we had this ICMP. Okay. Now I had ICMP. I got this ICMP, and now it should work, I believe. Previously we don't have this ICMP, or I haven't seen. I don't know. This is ICMP traffic. Okay. Now if I do a ping, it should work. Why? Still strange. It is strange actually. Yeah. Now where are we? Now what I will do, right? I will install this one, this package. Just forget about the comments, okay? It showed not found. So it is not found. Okay, that URL may be wrong. I'm just putting some ports. Okay, so source any, this one. I'll put any protocol. Allow the traffic. 290 rule. So basically what I'm doing now, I'm selecting the request can come from anywhere, from any port. Okay, The destination, right? I can specify my like virtual network also here. So where is my virtual network here? Okay, service is custom. Okay, for now I will select this one. Any service 65,000, all ports I am opening 65,000. It is showing me. One second, I will take one more mission. This ping should from work from here. Okay, here I'm getting response if I give google.com, but here we are not getting. But basically the agenda, like idea is like you will be configuring this inbound and outbound rules. That's how the traffic will go, but not sure. Like even though I configured, opened every port, it is not working. That's why. It is not working here. Okay, we will stop it here, guys. We'll see. Like it will take some time. Let's. If someone wants to stay back, they can stay back. I'm deleting the route. I'll reconfigure again. Basically, you will do like this. So you have to enable your ports inbound and outbound. Here you will have that configuration. Okay, source is any, destination is any. what I'm trying to do, right? I'm installing the Nginx server. Okay, let me try this. So I'm getting some response. If I put Nginx curl, if I give no, I'm getting something like welcome to Nginx, right? So, but here no, if I configure this website, if I do a refresh, no, I'm not getting anything, right? It is showing blank. But what I can do, right? I can configure some inbound rules. Okay, what I will do now, I will delete this. Okay, and I can add a new rule to allow the traffic. Just a second. Okay, I'm clicking on any source, can be from anywhere. Destination, here I will select some service called as HTTP. Okay, this is my HTTP port. I am selecting something like hello. Okay, now this port is being applied. Now I will do a refresh over here. It should work. Why it is not reaching, I don't know. Or in virtual machines, you are having Linux VM. In Linux VM, where is that virtual network subnet? This is the demo subnet. Here also you will be having some security group. Okay, this is the security group. Okay, in this also you will be having some configurations. Network security group, no, here you are having some network security group. In this Linux security group, this is my Linux VM security group. Here also I'm having some VMs. Yeah, why it is not reachable? Yeah, you got now, no? You understood, no? Now you got this server. Maybe it is taking some time. I don't know why that SSH didn't work, but this worked, no? You are able to see this server, no? It took some time, but the rule, whatever we configured is correct only. If you see, the rule is same. 310, port is 80 I give, TCP I give anything. Okay. So website, if I host, no, I am able to get. But I am wondering why it didn't work for ping. Normally it should work. The concept is correct only. If you see, welcome to Nginx I am getting, but what I will do now, I will remove that from my VM. If I click on virtual machines, okay, in networking, if I go now, here, if I am removing this rule, okay, I'm deleting this port 8080 stuff. It is getting deleted. Now if I refresh now, after some time you should not get. Maybe it is taking some time to get that. It will take some time, I believe. That's it. It is behaving in a something different way. Can you access this? Are you able to get it? Can you check? Whether it is stored in my cache, I don't know. Can you check access this? Are you able to get? Double click on it. Are you getting? Because I have removed the rule. But it is taking some time or something. But normally, right? Whenever you configure these rules, right? It should work. See, now it went clear. Huh? Now it is, now it went, you won't get now. It is taking some array. What is this? Here it is working. Here it is working. But in this page, it is not working. So there is something with browser or some other stuff, because here I'm unable to reach to the server. I'm getting the page not found. Got it? There is something related to some other stuff. Okay. So if I click on this, now you should not get, you are not getting. Maybe it is storing in the cache. Okay, any doubts? But it is taking some time here. But SSH normally it will come, but I'm really not sure why it is not coming. But the core concept remains same. We have to add this like inbound rules. Okay, any doubts? But the same thing if I apply for ICMP, it is not working. That is strange for me. ICMP 7. I'm taking it as 290 ICMP. Whether it is taking some time, I don't know. It should work. This should also work. If I add this custom HTTP, it is working, no? Yeah, any doubts? We'll wind up now. It will take some time to refresh and get that. It won't be as fast as AWS. In AWS, right, you will get on the fly within seconds. Yeah, I'm done. If you are having any questions, I will. The concept is same. Okay, sometimes, right, as this is a free tier account, no, sometimes it will show like that. Okay, it will take some 5-10 minutes to reflect. Yeah, now I got. So after enabling of 2 or 3 minutes, right, I'm getting the response. Still this ping is not working. I am not sure whether that like this will be blocking. Some firewalls or something are blocking. I'm not sure. But normally you will play with this one only, no? These ports only, no? Leave about this ping. Normally you will be installing MySQL or other servers, no? So that should work. But one thing is you won't enable at any point of time ping service. ICMP you won't enable at any point of time. Just for lab you are understanding I told, but in real time no one will enable ICMP. It will tell like there is some, if someone starts pinging from this series, no, if it gets, he gets a response, no, then he can do a trace route and see whether where your this thing is located. Okay, I don't know this command. trace router, it is not supported. So you can use this command actually. So it will give you the trace where it is located and all those. So it will give you the network, like what are the hops, what are the stuff, no, how it is being transferred. No, you will get a complete set how it is being if from your source and destination to how many like hops it is connected, it will show you how many networks. Okay, if you have any doubts you can ask, else we'll wind up. So it is going to this. That's why they won't enable ping. If I know the ping, no, I can do some this thing. I can find like how the where the actual route is being going. It is going to some Hyderabad, Bombay, I don't know. Okay, yeah, if you have any doubts, ask, else we'll wind up for today. Okay, any doubts? So like that we can get, actually if you give trace RT, if you give the IP address, it will take all the routers or whatever are involved, no, it will give the network stuff. Okay, I'm closing. There are some 30 hops, 30. Okay, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, sorry, like don't mind like that ICMP, I don't know why it is not working. Normally it should work, but HTTP is working, but ICMP it is not working. But normal I won't enable ICMP, and in real time also you won't enable, because it will be like you can backtrack the CPU, like which router it is going and all those. Okay, but if you install any, like you saw, right, if you install any HTTP server or MySQL server, no, it will work. You have to enable the, using the inbound ports, you have to enable that particular port. Okay, yeah, thanks.